Hello, everyone. It's your boy, your guy, the one called Fate, knocks at your door.
It's your big boy Chungus here, coming at you live.
It's not live. It's not live. And we have a guest today, a guestorino, a guestadoodly.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Connor. I'm actually a famous rapper. My new mixtape, Milk and Almonds, is dropping next fall. I'm just kidding. I have absolutely nothing going on. My life is an empty shell, which is why I'm here. Back to you, Hunt.
Okay, thanks, friend.
You're welcome, buddy.
But anyways, welcome to another episode of Tabletop Recap. And we have been spending our episodes telling stories, but today we actually have our first review. And before the new set for Magic the Gathering comes out, which is called...
It's the Theros set. I haven't done a whole lot of research into this one, so I'm going into it kind of blind. I think it's called Beyond Death or something like that. Real ominous. But we'll be getting into another review when that comes out, and we'll have more details for you.
Yeah, so we're going to try to review each new Magic set, like, sort of before the new one comes out, after we've had a lot of time to play it and buy it and everything. But today we are reviewing Throne of Eldraine. Or is it Thrones?
It's Thrones of Eldraine.
Thought so.
We're going to be covering the mechanics, the cards, characters, and a little bit of lore surrounding my personal favorite Magic the Gathering set thus far.
Yeah, nobody cares. But we're adding something new to the podcast.
Me.
Yes, Connor, you are new. Very good. But we're also going to start rolling for initiative. We're all going to roll a d20, and whoever rolls the highest either gets to speak first or can yield their time to whoever they want to speak first.
All right?
All right.
So, pony up, gentlemen.
19.
I got 12.
15. So Connor goes first. Or at least he has initiative, whatever.
Yeah. So do you want to start, or do you want to pick who starts?
Ask me a question, and then I'll talk about it.
Okay. What of the 5 mana cards, which do you think is your favorite to work with Eldraine?
Okay, so I just recently created my first mostly all Eldraine deck, because I've never really gotten into, full into, sets and stuff. But I've been playing Magic forever, and I usually make a whole mix of stuff. So actually today I went and got a all-white boost, one of those white-themed boosters for Eldraine.
I love that Magic does that, by the way.
Yeah, me too. That's actually pretty cool.
I wish Pokemon did that.
So I got that, and I went through it, and I basically put all those in and put some lands in. Then I switched out a few, like I said, mostly Eldraine. I think there are 2 non-Eldraine cards in here.
And it won on its maiden voyage.
Huh?
It won on its maiden voyage.
Yeah, I won the first game with it. For Eldraine, this is a mono-white deck, and I'm liking it right now. It's all I've done with Eldraine so far. It's got some colorless, some artifacts and stuff in it, but I'm liking mono-white, but I usually, for non-Eldraine, my favorite type of deck to run is usually white-black decks. I've got an Orzhov deck that wrecks in larger games. But yeah, I'm liking mono-white.
All right, I don't particularly have a favorite monocolor in this set. Both the decks that I run that are majority Eldraine are mixed. But each deck kind of focuses on a different mechanic. So I run a red, white, and green giant deck that is one of my favorite decks to run.
It's a great deck.
Recently, yeah.
Yeah,
it's mostly Eldraine, yeah.
It's a little tricky because it relies on mana ramp since most of the minions cost more than 3 mana each. But as long as you get the cards and lands that you need right at the start of the game, you can pretty much steamroll and bully your opponents into submission. Yeah, and then my other deck is... No, it's okay. And then the other deck that I run is a food deck, blue and green. And this deck is super finicky. It's very easily to derail its strategy, but if you're able to get on top within the first 5 turns, which there are cards that allow you to do that, again, you can kind of bully and trick your opponents.
Yeah, adding those wolves fixed that deck almost entirely. Yeah, what are those wolves called?
They are Wicked Wolves.
Nice.
So, kind of
My favorite color in
I can't talk. I am so sorry.
Blue. You want to know why?
Why?
Frogify.
Oh, yes. So why don't you explain us to how that particular card works and how it can just be a total pooper for decks?
So Frogify basically just turns a creature that you choose into a blue frog token. And I just like frogs. And I also... one of the most powerful creature in my deck was Frogified, like right when that card came out, and then I powered it up back to its normal stats and won the game. So it's just a fun memory I have.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about some of the mechanics of it. Connor, how do you feel about the storybook mechanic?
I'm liking it a lot. Like I said, this mono white deck, it almost relies on the storybook stuff, but I love the fact that you can cast creatures as spells and then cast them as creatures again. Because one of the most annoying parts of Magic, for me at least, is doing some big plays and stuff. Like, you get a really good hand at the beginning. You play some huge plays, and then all of a sudden you're top decking. You've got nothing in your hand, and then the game just kind of drags on because you can't do anything.
That's good observation.
Huh?
That's good. That's a good observation.
Yeah, these storybook cards, though, kind of negate that, and I like them a lot because, you exile them, and then you can go and play them from exile. And also, the other thing is that when they're exiled, they're, like, immune to any kind of milling.
Yeah,
you know?
they're untouchable until you bring them back out.
So you can't, like, an opponent playing, like, a mill or discard-based deck, they can't get rid of those. So
unless there's like a specific card that says anywhere in the universe this card is like gone.
Or they get rid of them before you draw them.
True.
Right. But that's one thing I like. Also, I don't know how it is in other decks because I haven't played them, but in the mono white, these storybook cards actually have some really good effects. Like, let's see, Fairy Guide Mother is the one I have in my hand right now. Target creature gets +2/+1, gains flying till the end of the turn. That's pretty good. I like Ardenvale Tactician's ability. I used that against Hunt earlier on the first game with it. Tap up to 2 target creatures. And he had some strong stuff, and I was able to buy myself a turn just with that. And there's another one, can't really find it. Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah. Silverflame Squire. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Untap it. So it kind of de facto gives your creature vigilance. So you attack one turn, it's tapped, but then you can use Silverflame Squire's Adventure, untap your card, and buff it for a block when your opponent's not expecting you to be able to do that. So overall, I'd say that the storybook mechanic gives you some extra strategy to work with, and I'm a big strategy game aficionado, so it really kind of resonates with me.
Your decks are always way more creative than ours are.
I run like really indirect enchantment decks, and everyone gets mad at me when they can't do anything without hurting themselves.
That's why we're arch foes, because my deck is like super anti-enchantment.
Kind of playing off what you were saying, I do love the versatility with the storybook aspects. In my giant deck, 50% of all the monsters that I have that are giants run some form of the ability.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you have some that are instants so that you don't have to play them just on your turn, and the ones that are sorceries have, especially for the giants, overpowered mechanics. So, like for instance, Bone Crusher Giant allows you for 2 mana deal 2 damage to any target you want. It's a great first game starter if your opponent's trying to get the leg up. This especially is beneficial for me when you're playing your Monk card.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell them what's your Monk card?
Oh gosh, I don't. It's somewhere around here. I'm not going to go.
We'll just explain what the basic concept
is. It's a 0/2 card. I think it costs 2 mana. It's called Serene Monk, and I need to get more of them because it's terrible. So it's a 0/2 monk, and its ability is whenever this creature blocks, it switches power with the creature being blocked. So when it blocks a 6/6. And it's a 0/2. It switches power, so then the creature it's blocking is a 0/6, and Serene Monk is a 6/2. So it basically just negates any damage.
Right, and Bone Crusher Giant just has, with its storybook ability, the ability to just pummel it into the dirt without even having to fight it directly. Beanstalk Giant, which is one of the most versatile and actually expensive uncommon cards I've seen lately, has an ability as a sorcery where you can select any random or any basic land from your deck and put it onto the field untapped, which that untapped ability really gives you some options on your turn and for the next turn. And then, of course, its power and toughness is equal to the lands I control. So really good synergy there. And probably the most overpowered and broken of the giants with storybook abilities is Realm Cloaked, where for 5 mana as a sorcery, you can just destroy all non-giant creatures. This devastates games where you're playing with multiple people and they don't run Eldraine or giant cards.
I feel like its 2 costs should be like switched. Like it should be 5 to play it as a creature, and then 7 to do the board clear.
Yeah, its sorcery ability is a lot more valuable than it is as a creature. Although it's a powerful creature too. It's a 7/7 vigilance.
But when you consider that Hunt's Dinosaur board wipe, Sun's Avatar Awakening, or whatever,
it's like 8.
It costs 8 mana and it destroys all non-dinosaur creatures. Whereas,
And it's also a 7/7, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you only run 2 of those. I run 4 of these Realm Cloak Giants. So as long as I'm able to draw them, I can board clear twice as much as you for almost half as much mana.
And lots of the time when I pull mine, I just don't have enough mana out yet. And it's just like sitting there for a while.
Yeah, and then on top of that, it's a 7/7 giant with vigilance, which means it doesn't tap. So lots of potential with the storybook cards. And then there's other smaller ones like Curious Pear I run in my food deck because it generates food. You pay 1 mana, you get a food, and then you create a little child token. I love the fact that you can kill children with this set.
That's the reason I
Here I thought this was a PG podcast. But my favorite thing about the storybooks is like it diversifies the deck. It's literally 2 cards in one.
Yeah.
So you have like twice as many options for each card in there. So it can like turn a 60 card deck into almost like a 90 card deck. It feels like.
I feel like it does those what those dual cards do, but better. You know?
Yeah,
like the ones that are split in half down the middle.
I'm not super familiar with those actually.
So there was in all they do them with certain random packs, but they're really common with Ravnica because the whole deal with Ravnica is that each faction runs 2 different colors. So they'll have spells that you can pay just green or just blue for a certain amount, or you can pay both and you get those abilities. But it's really rare to ever see 2 played at the same time because you basically would have to spend 12 mana, or you'd have to have a ramp or a reduced cost that would make it efficient to do so. So it's really difficult, but these storybook cards cut down on the price for that, and you can play them at your pace, not you have this card, you have to do this, that, and the other right now or never again. So those, moving on from there. Okay, so moving on a little bit from mechanics, let's talk about some of the alternate forms of artwork. Now, I don't see this too often with Magic the Card games, except with promos, but this set has numerous cards. I don't know how many to what extent, but numerous cards that have alternate art forms that look like they are torn right out of a Grimm's fairy tale novel.
Variants, basically.
Yes.
And they're called Showcase, right?
Yes. I looked online. They are called Showcase. Some people just call them storybook cards or the alternative forms of Eldraine, whatever. But they are beautiful. The first card that I ever pulled from one of these was called Giant Killer, which, if you're familiar with the fairy tales, was based on Jack and the Beanstalk. And the standard card typically depicts a giant falling from a beanstalk with a boy cutting it down with an axe. But this one, with very wavy and vine-like depictions around the border, as well as an actual storybook coating the bottom where all the text and abilities are, it shows that where the giant has already been defeated and the boy is now standing over its corpse. It's foil only in certain areas, giving it a real lifelike look compared to the standard cards, and they're just totally beautiful.
The Realm Cloak Giant's my favorite one. I think it's gorgeous with
Yeah,
the
that-
hollow cloak. Oh, just a beautiful. You should definitely Google them if you're not driving or something. If you're driving, don't Google them.
PSA of the day.
Yeah, gotta be a good boy.
I do enjoy the Realm Cloak Giant, but personally, my favorite one actually is one that I don't have. I really like the Bone Crusher Giant one. It is way more foreboding and intimidating looking than the standard art. Whereas the standard art, it's just a big giant in red leather stomping on a knight. In the other one, the giant is way more foreboding, and the imagery is shown from the perspective of the knight. So you're actually looking up at the sole of the giant's foot, rather than just getting a profile of a man about to be murdered by a slightly bigger man.
Slightly bigger. Like the knight is 5 foot tall and the giant's just 6 foot.
He's about 12. He's about 3 or 4 times bigger than the other knight. But when you consider the Realm Cloak Giant literally has the realm cloaked around his shoulders,
Yeah.
it really puts it into perspective of how big these guys can get.
I like how it his cloak, like you can tell from the card, it like is the ground itself. Like he's wearing the ground as a cloak because it's like
really
you can
cool.
see the dirt under it and stuff. It
You can also see the houses and the forests that dot the
Yeah.
landscape at a vertical angle. So it's almost like as he walks, the earth rotates beneath his feet.
Yeah.
Really imposing, but also really beautiful at the same time.
And let's talk about like the art from the set as a whole,
Okay.
because it's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. It's like really gorgeous. I feel like the art for most of these sets is just beautiful, but this set kind of has a real fairy tale look to it.
Yeah, and I'm not an art savant, so I can't compare it to other artists or similar card sets. But what I can say is that I don't see this very often with Magic the Gathering, having one whole set of cards with new and interesting mechanics, and then having almost a completely separate set belonging to the first set. Same cards and everything with just even more beautiful and dazzling designs.
and as for, is it Thrones of Eldraine?
Thrones of Eldraine.
Thrones of Eldraine. Like, I actually am a big reader, and I actually am into art. Go to museums a lot, and
Ooh la la.
yeah, right. I'm cool.
You think you're smarter than us?
Yes.
How dare he be cultured?
But
Stay away from my daughter.
At least, like I said, I've got my mono white deck out here, but I've got some other cards from Matt's giant deck out here too. It's very Canterbury Tales inspired, I would say. Very Arthurian, and yeah, the art's really cool because I've noticed from like magic art. I've always liked magic art in general.
For sure.
But a lot of it takes inspiration from like either Gothic art or like very Tolkien inspired.
In some cases, it's just straight up ripped from Dungeons and Dragons artists because Wizards of the Coast do both.
I saw one card that was just straight up the Mona Lisa. They just like went to the gallery, took a picture of it on their phone, and just edited it into the card. It was illegal. It was absolutely illegal.
Copyright infringement. But I really like the art in this set. It's cool. Like, big props to the actual artists who make this game.
So, do you have a Grim Fairy Tale that... So, I guess what I'm trying to ask
Grim
is...
too. I forgot Grim
Yeah.
too.
That's
So,
a big
like,
thing in here is
what's your
Grim.
favorite Grim Fairy Tale, Canterbury Tale, anything? And
Well, this is supposed to be a PG podcast, and I can't mention any Grim fairy tale with it, and it still be PG.
give us the Disney version.
Tell us about the fake American ones. Yeah.
The fake American ones. Oh gosh, you hit me.
You can just
with
give us a name. You can
hit me with a curveball.
Yeah.
There.
I mean, I don't have a
Like,
favorite one. I couldn't answer that question right
Let's
away.
see. Gosh.
We can move on.
Yeah, let's move.
Okay.
Let's come back to that and let me think about that because I wasn't expecting.
I didn't realize
one.
that was such a deep question.
Do you know? Like,
It's
those
like-
are long books.
I think you actually specifically wanted to talk about food tokens for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, so this...
And I'll think about what my favorite.
So this isn't so
And
much...
I'll pick my nose.
This isn't so much a mechanic, so much as something that can be used in other mechanics. But Throne of Eldraine's also introduced the food tokens. Now, food tokens are classified as an artifact, despite being made of organic matter, that can be sacrificed for 2 mana and then, in turn, give the person who sacrificed it 3 health.
Like in Skyrim.
Yes, you eat and you get better. That's why I always steal every single cheese wheel I can find. Because 15 health for days, boys. But there are numerous cards that are able to generate food tokens and
like,
use food tokens.
The goose?
Yes. So cards, my personal favorites that generate food are the golden goose.
The goose!
The goose! That's where that meme comes from.
Well, it's like an inside meme.
Yeah. Check out
the V3 Productions YouTube channel.
Feasting Troll King, which you guys always hate when he comes out because he generates a ton of food, and then if he dies, he just uses that food to come back from the dead.
Yeah, he's real tough.
And then, of course...
Which is weird for a green card, too. Like,
yeah, that's like a black
card
thing. Like Resurrection from the Dead, that's usually associated with black mana.
Right.
I can't talk today.
It's okay.
And then, of course, Curious Pair is the starting card to get the food accumulation going. So, like in my food deck, the whole point is to accumulate a whole store of food early on in the game, and then just as I need it, consume it or sacrifice it as needed. But summoning food isn't just the only thing. You can use food with Gilded Goose or Oko Thief of Crowns, my Planeswalker, and I'll talk about him in a minute. He's a real special boy. Use them to get mana, resurrect certain cards, and my main defender card, Wicked Wolf, can actually consume food, thus having it sacrificed. And not only does
a wolf that can eat? I'm shocked. That it can actually consume food? Explain this concept to me.
You're going to want to delete that terrible joke during editing.
Anyways.
I'm proud.
It consumes the food, and not only does it get a permanent 1/1 buff, but it also becomes invulnerable for an entire turn and fights another target creature.
I'm not big on
Okay, and then there's Oko, the only Planeswalker that I run in this deck, but he is like the cornerstone because he not only creates food tokens, but he also messes around by trading control of those food tokens with other players' cards and creatures. So, like all Planeswalkers, he has 2 minor abilities and then 1 big ultra move. And his first ability is he creates a food token for 2 loyalty counters. That's actually pretty good, considering that most Planeswalkers only get +1. His secondary move gives you 1 loyalty counter, but he can turn any target creature or artifact into a 3/3 elk with green mana colors. And when this happens, that creature also loses all effects and abilities that are attributed to it. So it's almost like Frogify, but with elks instead of frogs.
Yeah.
And then
therefore not as good.
Well, it depends. Am I changing someone else's cards or am I changing my own?
Have you ever met an elk, though? Those things will kill you.
Frogs will kill you.
They're like light moose.
Yeah.
But
it's meese.
No, it's not.
So
it's meese.
But then his ultra
spelled like mice.
His
MEESE.
But then Oko's ultra ability, which honestly isn't as ultra, seeing as it only costs 5 loyalty counters, allows its controller to switch a target artifact. So if I have a food token, which is next to worthless by itself, with one of Hunt's dinosaurs that costs 3 or less, he loses a monster and I gain a monster and just completely messes with his deck's equilibrium. And I can do this so long as I keep him on the field. So food, if used in the right way, can be more than just personal consumption. It can be a game-changing mechanic, and that's one of the reasons I find it entertaining.
Yeah, but like you were saying with your deck being finicky, yeah, because I've played with you before where your deck didn't work at all, and I just stomped you.
For a while, the food deck couldn't attack at all.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like with the food mechanic, if you get your food tokens out, it's unstoppable. But if you don't, then it's you can't really do anything.
This is true. And I think the reason for that is because I'm having to make do with some of the other cards that I can't afford to have. So, for example, I only have 1 Oko. And he's the standard Oko. He's not the foil, and he's not the alternative full art one.
Don't you have the exclusive one for the deck as well? The Hermit Purple one?
Yeah, but he does things totally different, so he's actually worth less than this one.
All right.
Plus,
I thought he was a different card.
Plus,
and not just
because Plus, because he comes with a Planeswalker deck, anyone can get him.
Yeah.
This guy by himself is a $40 card, and the deck supposedly says you need to be running 4 Oko. So I can't afford to chalk up $160 for another card.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, one of the other cards that I run for this deck...
Just join a pyramid scheme.
That's what all the women we went to high school with did.
Yeah.
So, well, then there's another creature card that works really well with this. It's called Hydroid Crassus. And I do run a set of Hydras in this deck, but they're kind of like the cheaper version of Hydroid.
Yeah, they don't do much unless he's on the field.
Right, and Hydroid basically does the same thing that my Hydras do, except it does them better, and the card costs $50. So for a grand total between the Okos and the Hydroid Crassus, or Crassus, whatever, plural, it runs about $200 for 8 cards. And while I am more comfortable with my Magic budget, I'm not that comfortable. So I've had to supplement some cards. So is it as good as it could be? No. But I am very pleased that I've got it as well as it can work right now. Because between the one Oko, the other Hydra creatures that I have, the Wicked Wolf, I've won several games recently with the few changes I've made. So food compared to Giants is probably my second favorite deck right now.
Yeah, once you put attack power in there, it was a strong deck. Once you got some real good attacking cards like the Wolves.
And then if push comes to shove, then of course the feasting Troll Kings can definitely take as much punishment as they can give out, because they cost 6, 4 of which has to be green mana, which can be inconvenient at times. But a 7/6 that you can summon, have it killed, and then summon for a cost less than what you would pay by sacrificing food tokens.
Yeah.
That's insane. And all you have to do to keep that going is just keep summoning food tokens. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are, but I have been getting involved in the lore of Magic.
I'm not.
I love it. Okay, I'm just going to say right now, I really do hope that they do some sort of television or movie adaptation of some aspect, but I love the stories that they tell in Magic the Gathering.
A Netflix one's been rumored for years, but I bet it never happens.
And they've already confirmed that there's an MMORPG of the Magic the Gathering universe. Really looking forward to check that out.
That probably will be cool, actually.
They should do an anime about people playing Magic and make it like Yu-Gi-Oh!
Speaking of which, if you ever get the chance,
I would watch that for any trading card game.
No, wait, but the
problem
is...
They already have card concepts for it, because in some of the base sets in Japan, they have alternate anime artwork of the Planeswalkers. So they've already got the concepts for that.
But the problem is that, like, in the anime version of Magic, much like Yu-Gi-Oh!, they probably wouldn't follow the rules of the game entirely.
When
Planeswalker...
Yu-Gi-Oh! Went on, they followed them better. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Got better about that. What are we talking about?
The whole
Before we started recording, Big Boy Chungus said, "Don't let me get off topic," and then we immediately got him off topic.
I got one thing. There's a YouTube series called Everything Wrong with Yu-Gi-Oh! And it goes through, like, a lot of it. And it's just like a play-by-play of, like, the whole series where they're saying, like, basically they're just making up rules the whole time, but they're pointing out exactly what they're making up, and I'm like,
well, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is relevant to the podcast, so I guess that was an okay tangent.
But the reason why I'm very excited about the lore for Throne of Eldraine is because it's actually bringing back one of my favorite characters in the series, Garrick the Wild Huntsman. And for those of you who don't...
I remember Garrick.
Is he the lion dude? Or the tiger?
Wolf.
Okay.
He's like a Beastmaster, kind of.
He is. So Garrick was one of the first basic single mana Planeswalkers that came out when Planeswalkers were introduced to the Magic the Gathering series. So about, what, you think 2011, 2012, somewhere around there?
Around then, I was in high school, so yeah, around then.
And I'm a meathead, and I've always loved meathead characters. Now, Garrick, don't get me wrong.
Does that mean you eat a lot of meat?
It means I don't think
Smart.
things through all the way. Shut up.
All right, Ogiyasu.
But you also eat a lot of meat.
Don't talk about my diet. But Garrick by any means is not a meathead. He may not have the intelligence of Jace or the cunning of Chandra, but he knows strategy.
Connor and I are just chuckling at each other because we don't know what you're talking about. Like,
he knows strategy and meat.
He's a huntsman, all right? Leave me alone.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and what do you hunt for? animals.
The
For what?
delicious, yummy
Their
meat.
Their meat, yeah.
I'm trying to keep this PG.
That was PG.
How is that not PG?
We're just saying your diet's
No,
bad.
I mean, I'm trying not to curse. Anyways,
Ghost
so
Longhorn
Garrett-
every night.
to end that, Garrick, just know that Garrick's one of my favorite characters. And about 3 or 4 years ago, they basically cursed him. They said that, okay, this character's evil now. He's got a blight on him. And he was so evil and that he was killing other planeswalkers that everyone literally said, we can't be around him and he can't be involved with us. Let's just put him in his own dimension where he won't bother us.
We'll take
That's
the
what it is.
planeswalker and put him over there.
That's actually, like, even the main bad guy, Nicola Bolas, who literally wants to eat the planeswalkers.
Nico Bolas, not
He wants to
Nicola
eat the
Bolas.
planeswalkers?
He wants to eat their planeswalker energy so that he
So
can
it's like
ascend-
Smurfs. It's like Gargamel or whatever. his
Sort
name
of,
is.
except Gargamel wouldn't turn into a god after eating so many planeswalkers.
How do you know? They always.
Yeah, how do you know he never ate the
They
Smurfs?
always stopped him.
He never ate the Smurfs.
I'm not talking about Smurf.
We just have nothing to say because we don't know lore, so we're just gonna bug you the whole time.
I'm trying to think of a Marvel character who eats people, or kind of like Galactus. Galactus eats planets to
Yeah.
sustain himself, and Bolas wants to do the
Yeah.
same thing with planeswalkers.
Eating
only
to sustain oneself was a foreign concept to me until this podcast. So yeah, now I get it.
Fine, I'll make this quick because this is dumb.
Okay, we'll leave you alone and let you tell your story. I'm sorry.
So they the magic's gone. I can't let him say
No.
that about
The magic.
The magic's literally all
magic
over
is
the
all
table.
over- yeah.
The whole desk is magic. The floor is covered in magic cards. The
my
table.
soul and my love of lore is now as dead as Garrick's victims.
You ruined this game for me. I quit the podcast.
No. Okay,
It's just me
done.
and Connor now. We're gonna rename it.
but so Garrick is away killing people, and Nicola Bolas. I know I pronounced his name wrong. Sue me. He doesn't even want to approach Garrick to offer him a position of capturing planeswalkers because Garrick will just straight up kill people, and he's like, I don't need you killing people. I need you bringing them to me so I can eat them. Get out of my house. But Garrick in this set, they brought him back. They found a way to, in the story and lore, cure him of his curse. So I'm really looking forward to see how they're going to bring Garrick back into the Planeswalker fold in newer expansions. That's all I have to say about that. Are you happy now?
That's all I have to say about that.
Nizerberger.
No, Forrest Gump.
Oh, I thought you were making fun of how he gets a little bit of an accent when he gets mad sometimes.
No, I was.
I do too.
Forrest
It's
Gump,
fine.
Which is
That's not a Forrest Gump impression.
do your Forrest Gump impression, Matthew.
Mama always said that box of chocolates is like life.
Decent impression, bad sentence.
He's not that kind of...
Like Forrest, that's a good. Forrest Gump isn't near as dumb as you. Is the problem?
Shut up.
So, is there anything else we want to talk about for this set? You haven't given us your favorite story yet.
I'm
Connor.
never talking about lore on this podcast ever again.
No, I want to hear the lore. I think it's important for the podcast. I just am a jerk, also. And see, putting you down makes me feel better about myself.
I'm going to remember
as
this
for-
the next time we talk about Ultraman or
Yeah.
any kind of Japanese hero-related...
as
when we
for
do the
my
Pokemon
thing,
game and
I
I'm talking about
literally-
Pokemon lore, you're just going to roast me the whole time?
As for my thing about my favorite, like out of the Grimm fairy tales and stuff, I can't because I like the real ones and they're all pretty R-rated. So.
You couldn't even just name one to get us off your back?
They're
random one?
they're all horrible. Like, no, I can't even say like and then give you a thing.
Okay, it's fine. We get it.
Fine, if it's
you
that
just
big
love
of a
it as a
taboo.
whole, and we'll say
Yeah,
that.
no, I like all those legends. It's cool because like when you know history and stuff and you see like the time period they came out of, it's actually really cool.
Yeah, old-timey stories didn't hold back.
No, old time stories did not hold back.
It's great.
Well, when you consider that this was around the time of real-life Game of Thrones, where people would backstab,
Oh,
cut off
yeah.
heads, and poison at a whim, it's not surprising.
Medieval Europe,
And then
was
that translates
extremely
into the
violent.
game when we all backstab each other. When someone makes a deal with someone else in a three-way game, and then they betray you,
I know exactly
which your
who
whole
you're
family
talking about.
does to me. So that's that. I'm mad.
Now you know how I feel when I'm trying to explain lore.
I'm suddenly angry.
Well, as fun as this has been, I am really looking forward to the new Theros set. I know you guys are new to it, and as far as what new stuff is coming out, I'm going in blind.
Same.
But I remember the first Theros set that came out back in 2012, 2013, and it's pretty much just all Greek mythology. So we're going to be seeing a lot of stuff with the Pantheon of the Gods, Titans, heroes and legends, sagas and epics. I'm just super stoked for it.
Yeah, the Greek gods had great bods.
Also, there's Greek...
Thank you for pity laughing.
when it comes to gods of the Greek origin, we're also looking at indestructible. So be prepared to see a lot of things that are going to be on the field and staying on the field.
Ooh, like Primal Dawn.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love my Primal
Who
Dawn.
wants to see a Greek god go up against a giant pterosaur?
I do every day of my life. I'll never turn that down. But that's it for today's podcast. This is our shortest one yet, but I mean, we don't have a minimum time length or anything. I think it's good. I think we covered everything we needed to for the set. This was our first review. Hope you all very much enjoyed it. I'm Hunt. Check out the Toku King podcast, which is another podcast we have, an audio drama that's very Power Ranger Godzilla-ish.
I'm your big boy Chungus. Be sure to check out my eBay shop at MadTalk1994 for some awesome cards and merch. Little slow.
There's no merch. Pokemon merch, maybe. No podcast merch.
Well, it's
maybe
stuff that
one
I'm
day.
selling.
Maybe one day.
It's stuff that I'm selling.
That'd be cool.
Can you imagine selling a shirt that said the one called Fate knocks at your door and it like selling?
I would love
No,
that.
And then
it's
everyone knowing how dumb you are.
I would love
When we
that.
get to our
Like,
D&D podcast, we will explain that joke, I swear.
You got
Alright.
you got like a T-shirt. It's got like each of our faces. Like each shirt has like one of our faces, and people have to like choose who their favorite personality is, and then like
Yeah.
there's someone on.
You're
the
wearing
other
a
side
Connor
of the
shirt? It's like
Yeah,
street
exactly.
gangs form around it.
All right.
And do you have anything to shout out, Connor?
Yeah.
Very good. I'll definitely check that out.
But actually, thank you guys for having me, and I hope to be back on here in the future. This is a lot of fun, and I don't have any friends, so like,
That's true. You don't.
Get out of my house.
but yeah,
Absolutely leave.
I look forward to doing more Magic and board game stuff in the future.
We look forward to having you. Thank you all very much for your support. If you check out the link in the description, it'll take you where you can donate to support the show, and we'll see you all next time.